In this Movavi tutorial for beginners, I will teach you everything you need to know to get good at video editing and start making amazing videos. Alright, so when you open Movavi, you will see this intro screen asking you if you want to do a quick video or just start a new custom project. I'm not going to show you the montage wizard here for the quick video because it's incredibly easy. And if you're watching this tutorial, it's because you want to learn how to edit, not how to use the montage wizard. So I highly recommend you learn how to edit videos yourself because it's going to be extremely helpful down the road. So let's start a new project. And if you look at this, it might feel a little overwhelming at first, and I understand that if it's the first time you see a video editing software. So let's see what each part does in particular. The top right corner here is called the video preview area, where we can see how our video looks like, basically how our edit looks like. On the bottom, we have the timeline where we are going to drag and drop our footage and arrange it in the right order, our videos, images, and music, and whatever else you have. And this is basically where you do the edit. And then we have the top left corner, which is a bit of a different area in itself because it has a lot of different tabs that we're going to go through. Let's just say that this is where you add some sort of transitions, titles, you can import your footage and play around with some settings here. All right. So first things first, we need to import our footage into this software. So if you go here on the first tab, it says import and add media files. So I have those videos already selected and a music track here. I'm going to select all of them and import them in the software. So as you can see, it already added them here on the timeline and they're so long they don't even fit the timeline. But no problem there because we have this thing here on the bottom that says scale. We can actually zoom in or zoom out on the timeline. If our video is longer, say, I don't know, 12 minutes, you can zoom out. And then when you want to do some editing on a particular part, you zoom in. But for this tutorial, I will just make everything much shorter. And the way you do that is when you select a clip or the music, you can see it has those yellow borders. And if you grab it at the end or in the beginning, you can drag it like this to make it much shorter. So that's exactly what I'm going to do with all those assets. So we can actually watch all of them in this quick edit that we're going to do together. All right, so I had to fast forward there a little because it just it's too long to show on camera, but you get a point. I just adjusted them so we have the whole edit here, as you can see, in under 20 seconds. You see here, it goes from 0 all the way to 20 seconds and then longer, but all our footage ends here at around 20 seconds, which is pretty cool. So let's have a look and see how it feels with the cut and the music. All right, I think that's pretty interesting. The music is kind of slow when it starts, so I'll use this thing right here to drag it to make it start a little faster. So reposition it again and then drag it at the end as well. And say, for example, you want to swap those around, you can definitely do that. Just select it, move it here, make this one first if you want, or I'll just make this one second. Maybe you want this a bit, I don't know. Do whatever you want, just play around with those, with the positioning of each, with the order of each video. So in terms of editing, that's pretty much it. You add the videos here on the timeline, then adjust the duration and the order, put them one after another, and that's how you get your basic edit. And when you're done with that, let's explore some of those tabs here. So the first one we are going to look at is called filters. Now, personally, I'm really not a big fan of those, but have a look and see if you like anything. They are grouped in categories like this. And if you want to preview either one of them, you just have to click on it. Some are very interesting, like mirror, and you can do a lot of pretty funky stuff like this. Very interesting stuff. Let's say we like this one, and if you want to add it, you just click on it and drag and drop it to the selected clip. And as you can see, the beach disappeared, and now we have this thing with 4 boats. And it looks pretty interesting, you know, play around with it. There's a lot of different ones as well. Maybe we want to use this old movie grayscale thing. Maybe you want to add this VHS thing as well. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't look very good, but hey, play around with this, see if you like anything. There's not enough time in this tutorial to explore each and every one of those filter categories, but again, just play around with them. It's all a trial and error. See what it looks good, see what you like, and then just add to your edit. And if you want to preview, just click on it and you can see it here. But going back to our edit here on the timeline, let's say we don't like this because it really doesn't look good. And you can see this star right here on the clips that have some filters. So we just click on the star and it's going to show us a list of all those filters, and that's how you remove the filters. Go to this one as well and remove it. I mean, I kind of like this one, so maybe we're gonna keep it. All right, so next, this was the filters, and the next tab I want to show you is called transitions. Again, they're grouped in different categories. There's a lot of crazy stuff here. Personally, I don't like most of them, and I always recommend, and I use myself, only the simple transitions, which are pretty much the classics, which are a crossfade, usually, Ken Burns, and zoom in. So actually, let me just show you how you can add a transition to your clips. It's basically a transition between one clip to the next one. And let's watch how that's gonna look like. So let's say we like this one, the crossfade, put it here. And again, if you click on it, it shows you a preview as well here, like before, for the filters. So I will add a couple of those here in between all of our clips. Let's say some blur in is also pretty nice. Also maybe a zoom in, zoom out, maybe a zoom out at the end. And I don't know, let's add a crazy one at the end. And yeah, let's watch the preview and see how our transitions look like. Alright, I think that's pretty interesting. It definitely adds something to the video and makes it much more enjoyable to watch. But let's say, for example, you don't like this transition at the end, and the way to remove it is you right click on it and click remove transition, or you right click and remove all transitions if you want to get rid of all of them. So next, it's time to have a look at titles, and again, grouped in different categories. It's up to you to explore and see how each one of those looks like. So in our case, we're just going to use a few simple ones. Let's say this one here, ribbon, kind of looks good for an intro. Drag and drop it here. Use this as a title screen. Make it a tiny bit shorter. So let's go here in the middle. And if you want to edit the text, you just double click on it. And as you can see, this is, if you double click, it's easy to edit. So let's say Greece 2020, journey never ends. I don't know, you can be a bit more creative and original with this, but yeah, that's about it. Also, maybe you want to select this and maybe, you know, play with the font. You can do this here. I don't know, play with the font, make it smaller, larger, whatever. Or maybe you want to adjust the color, and to adjust the color, you select this tool right here. And let's say maybe you want to make it blue, like the, I don't know, like the flag. Let's see how that looks like. All right, pretty interesting. And let's say in the same manner, we want to add a title at the end. Let's say this one. Again, make it a tiny bit shorter. And for this one, let's double click on it and say here at the end, let's say the end. And for the subtitle, see you soon. Now let's preview and see how this looks like. All right, pretty interesting. I think you noticed there was a bit of a slow lagging kind of thing. That's because there's a lot of things for this to preview in real time. But once you export the video, it's going to be all nice and smooth. So no worries there. Now let's see how it looks at the end with the title screen. All right, pretty interesting. It's a little bit fast, but it's going to work for this quick tutorial. So we'll keep all of those and move to the next one with the stickers. You can just play around with those. Those are a few static images. If you want to add them, it's fine. If not, just move to the next part, which is the callouts, which could be pretty useful. For example, maybe this is you on the boat and you want to make sure people know that. So you can drag this here. So we can edit this. I don't know, just point to the boat here. And maybe you want to add some text here that says, hey, that is me. And of course, play around with the colors and all that good stuff and apply it. So the callouts can be different, a lot of different shapes and stuff. Just have a look, see if you like anything, see if it fits your video. And if it does, just add it and play around with it until you make it work as intended. All right, now it's time to show you those icons here on the bottom of this window. And this one right here is undo and redo. Obviously, if you want to, undo the last action, then make some changes. Maybe you made a mistake. You can definitely use this. For example, if you want to delete a clip that you have selected, or maybe you can select multiple clips like this, you can use this icon right here to delete everything. Or maybe a very useful one that definitely comes in handy a lot of times is this one with a scissor, which is called a split. And as you can see here, now we have this this clip that is a bit long, let's say, and maybe we want to split it in half exactly where the playhead is. And as you can see, now we have two videos. And with two videos, maybe we can now move it to, I don't know, maybe move it a bit further down the road over there. You can use this one if you want to rotate your clip clockwise, but personally I would recommend you use the next tool for that because it gives you a lot more freedom. So the next tool is called crop, but let me see, let's add it to this one right here with the boat. So you can use the crop tool to zoom in a bit or crop some footage. Maybe there's something here that you don't want to have in the shot, and you can zoom in a little. And as I said, you can also play around with the rotation, have a lot more flexibility here. But of course you don't want this to be outside the frame, so make it a tiny bit smaller, put it here. And then when you're done, we can just apply it, and there you go. As you can see, the quality is pretty bad now because zooming in definitely blurs the image quite a bit. All right, so next thing I want to show you is this one right here, which is color adjustments. I'm just going to quickly go over this. You can try some auto adjustments if you're not happy with how your footage looks like. Personally, I like how this one looks, but I don't know, let's say you can add auto contrast. I don't really like it, so I'm just going to undo that. But there's also manual adjustments. This is pretty advanced stuff, but if you really feel like exploring, just go crazy and play around with those things and see if you find anything that you like, and then just apply it. So I'm just gonna go back because that looks pretty awful. All right, next thing is recording the audio. So let's say you want to narrate your travel footage, or maybe it's a documentary you make, or whatever video you make. You can just use this icon right here and start recording the voiceover. Of course, make sure to select the microphone that you're using, and then you just start recording. And as you can see, it's gonna add the recording right here on the bottom. Stop recording. As you can see, the waveform is there, but I'm just gonna go ahead and delete this. So the last thing that I want to show you is this gear icon here, which is the properties. And this is pretty interesting to use because it gives you a lot of more advanced things that you can play around with. But we are just going to look at a few of those. So let's just delete this arrow because I don't like it. All right, so let's select this clip and go to properties. And the first thing I want to show you is the speed. In this particular time lapse, maybe we want to see some action on screen, which is the clouds moving a bit faster. So I'm just gonna adjust this and make it at around, I don't know, 200% or whatever. And as you can see, it already makes this much shorter because at 200%, obviously, it's gonna take half the time to get there. But lucky for us, that's a pretty long clip, so we can readjust it as well to have more of that fast forward clip. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. You can definitely see the clouds moving faster. And of course, the same thing goes if you want to maybe add some slow motion, right? As you can see, it's going to be much longer, right? Because it takes double the time to show it at 50% the speed. Now, of course, to have amazing slow motion, you need to have a good camera that records some good footage for slow motion. But just so you know, it's here and it's possible. So I'm just going to leave this at 200. Another interesting one that I use all the time and I recommend you do as well is let's go here to the first clip and add something called a fade in for around 1.5 seconds. It's just going to make it much smoother. And as you see, it starts here with a fade from black. And it's just much nicer to look at. And of course, we can do the same thing on the last clip here, but instead of a fade in, we will add a fade out for 1.5 seconds. And what's really cool about fade out is that you can add it to the music as well. Because right now you look at the waveform and it just abruptly ends, and that doesn't really sound good. And if we move this slider, let's say at a 3-second fade out, you can see the waveform is already going down. And it's just a much nicer and much smoother fade out and a much more elegant way to present your videos. Now let's check out the end. All right, that's definitely very interesting. And of course, there are a lot of other more advanced options here, but I don't want to make this tutorial too long or too overwhelming. Because I want you to be able to grasp the basics. Because if you have those basics mastered, you are going to be able to make pretty much any sort of video you can think of, whether it's a travel holiday video, a vlog, or any sort of YouTube editing. You are going to be able to do with the skills that I've shown you in this video. All right, let's have a quick look at this edit that we did real quick and see how it feels fade out and a much more elegant way to present your videos. Now let's check out the end. All right, that's definitely very interesting. And of course, there are a lot of other more advanced options here, but I don't want to make this tutorial too long or too overwhelming. Because I want you to be able to grasp the basics. Because if you have those basics mastered, you are going to be able to make pretty much any sort of video you can think of, whether it's a travel holiday video, a vlog, or any sort of YouTube editing. You are going to be able to do with the skills that I've shown you in this video. All right, let's have a quick look at this edit that we did real quick and see how it feels. As I said, the preview is a bit slow there because it does it in real time and it's hard for my computer to record this tutorial and play that back in real time. But once you export the video, it's going to work well.